Hey guys, Daniel James here, and today we're going to be having a look at Heavyocity's new drum library, Damage 2, which is the sequel, the follow-up to their immensely successful and popular library, Damage. I'm sure you've all heard it before. So the way we're going to do this today, it's going to be an having a look, which is basically we're going to open the library with the assumption that you've already heard a bit about it, and we're just going to play with it. We're going to experiment with it. We're going to see where we can push it, what we can do with it, and basically just get a listen to how it sounds. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump over and just start playing with it. So it comes with three patches. So we have the ensemble designer, the kit designer, and the loop designer. Right, so let's just start at the top, ensemble designer. So I imagine most of you have heard this already, right? You're all damaged out. So the thing I immediately loved. So obviously I bust this thing open immediately the second I bought it, and I just started playing through the sounds. And I'm sure you've all heard them by now, but my goodness, Armageddon 2, I'll take it. I always worry though, because I feel like Damage is going to end up on everything. All right, so I think what we'll probably do is just kind of write something. I think that's probably the way to do it, right? Right, let's get in here. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Nope, get over there. There we go. So the taikos. It's more than the taiko. I feel like everything sounds good. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing in the Apocalypse ensemble where I'm like, there's the weak link. You know. So let's try it. I'm just going to do like a little decrescendo on these. So like it's... because I prefer having actual instruments be my click. Right. Oh, we started C2. So let's just program that. I mean, if we keep that going, then turn some of these down, maybe. I'm just programming rhythms just to see how it feels. That's a weird rhythm. I'll take it. All right, so I have no idea what this rhythm's going to sound like. So what I like to do with these things is just kind of program these rhythms and feel. No. You know, just fun rhythms. So that was a cool one. I wonder how fast we can go. 140. Let's bring it up. So right now, I just want to play with the Apocalypse ensemble, just get a feel, you know. Let's just get like a fast digga 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 digga. Okay. Oops. Works. Just have like something running through the middle that's doing a little bit of an off rhythm. It does sound a bit African, I'll grant you that. So we can bring that down. That works. I mean, like, just immediately, like, it sounds great. Oh, God, we're beach balling. There we go. Oh, God, I don't know why that happened. Always makes me nervous. And I do love this feature. So they have a mix thing. Okay, let me just... No, wrong one. By the way, this is a pet peeve of mine. So, like, you see, I want that. Like... Grabbing the right one is often tricky, but like listen to how much the microphone position has an effect. Ready? That is by far the greatest stage placement tool in a Kontakt library I've ever seen. But look, you see, like if they overlap, you often grab the wrong one. I wish it was a way to prioritize the last press key. You see, look, I'm trying to grab the right one, but I'm accidentally moving everything but. So the interesting thing is, so like usually this happens with most things. It's that if you have a percussion instrument, it's spread over two keys usually. So you have, this is one key, this is another key. Essentially, they sound like the same samples, but because we have the stage thing, what we can do is we can actually put one over on the left, and we can put another one over on the right. So when they play together, you can have them completely spread. So it's almost like if you play the individual keys, it's like you've got a wide ensemble spread. Put this one back there. I love that feature, right? So I'm just going to move them back to the middle. But one cool feature is this mix dial here. You can actually pull all of them forward. So which is insane. Like, listen to the difference. I'll open the room up as it plays. Man, I fucking love that. I do like that rhythm as well, actually. Normally, I like doing like 3. So it'd be like. Yeah. Do like. Just, you know. Just creating some grooves, you know? Bring them all close. And of course, you can do the reverse as well. So you can push everything to the back of the room. I would like to just point out as well that I didn't add any like velocity to that. That's just the round robins. Like, it's still got groove and feeling even without me like putting accents. But if I just, you know. Let's see how it does it from low to high. Jesus. Okay. Sorry, I fucking. So right now we're just literally playing with one kit of literally. Look at this. Look at this. Look how many kits there are. So that was just the Armageddon kit. So let's just scroll through and play with some more of them. The big screen ensemble. Man, listen to this shit. Wait. Interesting. There's 3 low targets. But yeah. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. To be honest, I should have done. So I'm going to quickly show you one of the coolest features, literally one of the coolest features ever added to a Kontakt library ever. And you guys know I don't say that shit much. So this is important. So when I talk about innovation, when I talk about libraries pushing pushing forward the industry, right? Trying new things. Shit like this is what it is, right? So if you look here, I'm pushing the keys, right? And you see it's lighting up the individual keys. So let's say that this instrument here, I don't actually like the sound of. I can literally come here. Let's autoplay these. And let's say I'm looking for something. Let's say I'm looking for that. Like the side clacks. I can literally just drag it on. And now that key is literally what I selected, which I know that doesn't sound important, but being able to do that and set up your own keys, your own key switches, your own percussion setup is incredibly powerful. And this is a good opportunity to also show you these. So every patch, they do have recorded loops, but one thing they've done, which is awesome, is they've added this performance section, right? You turn that on, so you push a key, you see it changes per key. Up here, it says what key you're on. So let's say this thing I had here, but I just want it to do like eighth notes, right? So I can turn on performance, and you can change what kind of performance it is, and it's doing it essentially with MIDI. So it's not a recorded performance, but because there's so many round robins and so many dynamic layers, it sounds very natural. Usually. You see, we have the roll here, right? But this is the one I love. Look at this. So repeat, right? You can set the rate at which it repeats and how many times it repeats, right? So if I do 4, like it'll only play 4. So if I'm... or whatever, right? But if you click on loop, it will loop it, right? You can set the rate. I wish it went down to half notes and single notes. I'll explain why later about that. Obviously, you probably wouldn't go that fast. So let's go with 16th. And you can actually change where the accent is. So up means that it's going to ramp up. So it's going to essentially do this. That is what up looks like. And then obviously down will do it like that. And then the first will only accent the first note. And then last will accent the last. So this is what up sounds like. And down. And first. And again, we can expand that to like 8. So, which is probably more what we need here. You see that? Even though I hit the MIDI note perfectly in time. So you see, instead of having to program that, which is what I was doing a second ago, I can pick a sound. And again, so the 8th thing, the length is how long before it loops again, right? So if I set this to 3, it'll only play 3 notes, right? So you can kind of get like this 3 + 3 + 2 thing, you know, or 5. And get like these really interesting, like polyrhythmic type feels, you know? And what you could also do is if I re-trigger it. So just to show you what that means. So because I'm doing 6th, right? Instead of doing 3 + 3 + 2, which is 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 da 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 da. I can set it to something like 6. If it's just one note, it'll go. Right? But if I re-trigger it, it'll re-trigger with the accent first. Or here, you know. So like a good rhythm might be this, for example. Right? Let's do that and then build. And if we so desired, so let's take that one. So this one's on the mod wheel, right? So, wait, where'd it go? That one. So this one, which is just doing straight 16ths, right? We'll play them together. But the cool thing about this one is it's on the mod wheel, right? So if I create like a ramp like this, so I can have it do like this perpetual build, for example. So then we can. I don't know why I programmed the rhythm so odd like this, but I like it, you know, it's fun. It's fun to fuck around. That was a poor rhythm. I should be ashamed of my words and deeds. And then bow. But you can see how powerful just having this is, right? So let's. Right, so we got that. So we can also. And it doesn't sound like much, but being able to tune things like this, like, it doesn't sound particularly real, but it does sound cool in the mix, you know? Like, I would never tune it down, but tuning up is always good for these kinds of things. And then you got some filters here. I'm going to change this to up. Right. But also, and turn it down. But let's say I'm sick of that sound now, right? So can we just, this is actually going to be a test. Let's see if we can change it mid. Wow. I want something high. Do we have like a high taiko? Let's go with the high Chinese tom. Yeah, so I can just replace the sound and it will keep all that information. Sounds good though. Right. So found sounds, damage, transitions, failure. I wonder what some of these would sound like super fast. Let's just fuck with the system. So probably. I mean, it's not great like that, but it does work, right? At least I think it does. Let me find something. Let's go with the PVC pipes. Does velocity matter? Yeah, it does. Right, so that we're still just in big screen ensemble. So we're going through the like the all-star presets. So let's check out the cymbals. Now, one thing I wish they did have is the Project Sam brought the innovation, and I can't wait till everybody else figures it out. But the downbeat, I wish it had that, so you push like a transition and it will go to the downbeat. That would be so cool. Again, just beautifully clean and wide. It just sounds good. Now, I wonder what these sound like right close. So this whole stage thing that they did is incredible. You can turn it off. But why would you? Why would you? So the transitions are synced. The chat room is saying, pretty sure it's synced. So it is synced, but if you look, it's synced to beats, like it's a length. So it will, you know, depending on when you push it, that's where it'll end. But what I mean is that the Project Sam one is, regardless of where you push the key, it will always land on the downbeat. So it's sort of synced to your host. And it doesn't matter if you push it 3.5 beats, doesn't matter if you push it 2 3/4 beats, it will always land on the downbeat. So you know that when you push it, it's gonna hit. Yep, you can move everything around the stage. I'm aware of this. I'm a big stage fan. Damaged loop bit ensemble. So these are your typical. They're like your typical kind of dirty sounds. Again, these are just using the performance, but just having that performance sounds so fucking good. I actually like having it around 8. And again, these aren't the loops. This is just using the performance. And like that's such a powerful thing that like a lot of developers in general overlook, including myself. It's like, if this thing is going to be used to just write 16th notes, or it's going to be just holding down an 8th note. Why don't we just have an ability so that instead of someone having to put every single one in there, we let them play it like an instrument? And you might not always want it that way, but the joy of this is, let's say that, okay, let's, right, so we have Ensemble Grand Casa, right? Let's say that we want that, but we want to be able to hit it. We can just come here, turn this performance off. And now that's just a single hit. And we could change this one to the repeat, and we'll have it on up, or down rather, and we'll put it on 8s. And then so now, that's on triplets. You see, so like you can just customize it to however you like. And I do like, in a weird way, that they've separated it like this, you know, where you've got 1, 2, and 3. Just helps kind of keep it organized in your head. And you can see how quickly you can get like a rhythmic bed going just with that. A few things I do want to say, by the way, like, because a lot of this is going to be very positive because I'm in love with it. There are a very few things that I don't like about it, but they're minimal. But I'll try and explain it to you. So the things that I'm really not kind of feeling, like the UI compared to their old ones, feels a little like a step back. I don't know what it is, but it feels like there's something about these hard edges that feels very, very Paint Shop Pro, you know, or wait, what's it called? Like Paint, you know, just hard cut with drop shadow, you know, or like here where there's just like a slight shadow in the metal as if it's sort of over the other metal, but it doesn't quite look. And also, this isn't their fault per se, but like the Damage 2 logo is a rectangle that looks like it's been cropped out of another image and then just put on the UI. And there's this isn't their fault so much as it is Contact's, but you see how Contact makes like this extra little bit of black space underneath? They haven't accounted for that in the logo, so the logo is like bottom heavy. Like it's closer to this brown than it is to this gray, so there's a bigger gap there than there. Again, just really small UI things. Also not a fan of like this you know, this type of flat colored font. I think it's more obvious like on the kit designer. Let me just load that up and see what happens. You know what I mean? Like just these, for example, like it doesn't feel as polished as the old one. Like I don't know, like the text just looks kind of flat on here, as if, you know, like in Photoshop you just put it and then put a line. And like the only reason I know this is because, you know, this is kind of like what it looked like when I was trying to do my my ones for Project Alpha back in the day. Like it almost looks like the what's the word? Like the pitch. Like we want it to look something like this. And then like you give it to the graphic designer and they make it. You know what I mean? It's just sort of flat. Like these buttons feel like they're just hovering over and the text. But genuinely, for now, that is the only bad thing I have to say right now. But I wanted to just drop it in amongst this love sandwich that we're going to be having today. So this drum circle is the same, but with triplets. Fear of the Dark, 36. Let's have a listen. Spooky. I just wanted to quickly... So this will be a good chance to show the loop designer while we're here. We will keep going through the sounds, but I'm going to jump around a little bit. Play a nice piano piece over there. So the cool thing about like sounds like that is they usually work well with... There's something about damaged loops. They always sound like damaged loops. Like, I feel like damage loops are their own curse because they are so good. It's like like the Midas touch. Everything it touched turns to gold kind of thing. So like these loops are so good that they are going to be what TV sounds like for the next 5 years. To the point where directors will be like, hey, I heard that in this other show. And that's not a bad place for Heavyocity to be. It's not a bad place for composers to be. It means for 5 years you've got some loops that will get you through. But like if any of us hear that, this. Like we'll all recognize that because it's so distinctive. But again, they have lots of loops, so I'm not complaining. So let's go with the organic cinematic. So the way they've lined this up, I do like this. So down here, you see they've got the designer keys, right? It's 1 octave from C1 down here up to C2. What this actually allows you to do, so same thing with the loops, right? So you can change your loops here. Right, you can change your loops by dragging them onto the individual things. So again, we can come to number 2, 1, 2, and 3, and depending on which key I put, you know. Right, so you can drag your loops. You understand that. But what they've got down here is the designer key. What it'll do is it'll trigger all 3 sections of that key together, right? So if I hit C1, it'll hit all of the octaves of C. And what that allows you to do is not just add loops so that you can come in with the breakout like this. Right? But you can set up your own stacks of them. So let's try it. So let's just change all the C notes. So let's find like a bassy note. Let's go with that. Right, and then number 2, let's get some. So I want, these ones are all low, so we want some either mid or high. Let's get trucking. We'll get trucking in there, and then on the high one, we got anything high up here? Nothing to declare but my genius. No. And let's put that one up there. So now I've created basically my own loop. So when I hit C1, and I'm no longer a fan of that, so we can come to source and we'll just swap it out. Oh, wait, I just realized something. So the designer keys, you're actually changing yourself. So that's even fucking better. I didn't realize that till I fucked that up. But, you know, That's why this is called the Avin a look and not the official walkthrough, because we fuck up, but we learn things. What we learned today is that you can hit C1, but you can actually change which key that triggers. I didn't realize that till this second. So you don't just have to have it set up on C1. You can literally load 3 octaves worth of sounds and then change what. So I'm only going to play C1, but I'll move around. I'll just click and change what C1 equals. Still playing C1. So the cool thing is as well is that you could stack them like this. So I could have it so that the next key is almost the same, except the top note changes. So now the next one. So that way you could literally set it up so you have the exact same rhythm, but only the top line changes or just the mid line changes. Really, really powerful. Man, these loops sound awesome, but we will come back to this in a minute. I do want to keep going through these sounds up here. So anyway, where were we? Fear of the Dark. Oh yes, spookies. Fear of the Dark. Found sound playables. So what's the click? You know what? Actually, let's bring in a loop and let's have the loop keep tempo. Right. You'll do. Legato. See, look at that. Look at the offset of my MIDI. Anyway. Why? Dun, dun. Just hearing me. It might work. Now, I wonder if I was to just like take that and then change it, I don't know, back to Armageddon 2, what would happen? That didn't work. Worth a try, though. What else we got? It flourishes, it swells. Right, hybrid Merc. I'm pretty sure I've been to this club. Interesting. Like, the funny thing is I might actually use something like that sometime. A hybrid 2, what came first, the chicken or the egg? The egg, obviously. I think there was just a chicken one day. Right. The thing about the chicken and the egg that people always seem to miss is how evolution works. So there was something that was like a chicken that gave birth to the first chicken, the first actual chicken, which means that it laid an egg with the first ever actual chicken in it. It might not have been a chicken eventually, originally, but it was very much like a chicken. And they gave birth to a chicken, which means there was an egg. Oh, wait, fuck, I didn't mean to. I wanted to go through low enders. Ooh. Man, these subs are nice. I've got a sub now, so I'm feeling it. That's so deep. So deep. It's a deep burn. Well, who was it? Was it VSL? We go deep. Like, that was their selling point. Street Fighter. I could totally do something with these sounds. For some reason, the first note isn't triggering. Watch. Okay, now it will. See, look, that didn't trigger. It does trigger the second time. That didn't trigger. Triggers the second time. That one, fine. Sometimes they're just not triggering the first time. That's now. Jump. Jump. I need to try that. Oh, wrong one. what this sounds like if we just drop it down to like 97. Yeah, it's like... It's exactly what they sound like. So we have a new knob in Damage 2, as you can see, and it actually comes with 3 different settings. So gently now. These are actually poor sounds to do it on. So I'll go back to Armageddon so you can hear what it's actually doing. Right. Hurt me plenty. And then Nightmare. And Nightmare's weird because it feels like it just turns it down. You can move around where it goes. Heard me plenty. Gotta have some compression. Right, attack. Let's bring this down to... Oh, bro. So they're the 3 different types, and as you can see, they have their own. And I feel like this is where most of the UI budget went, on these beautifully crafted. What are my thoughts on Damage 2 so far? Are you watching, sir? Are you watching? It's awesome. Tycho performance. So the performance ones are interesting. What they've done is you have like the keys, like you have the playable version, then you get a flam, you get a roll, you get a build, and you get some. And you have these humanizer things here as well. So this is a roll, right? It's a mod wheel roll at the minute, right? but you can adjust like the random each hit of this roll will have a random time. So if I do this, it'll sound wildly out of time. But if you're going for like a really realistic feel, you know, you probably want a little bit of this. Without it, so like just like a few percent, and it's on the mod wheel. And then so the next octave up, a higher tom, and then another octave up. So what you can do as well is, you know, if you've got this on the roll, so just holding that, and that's mod wheel controlled. Because I have the accents, I can accent it manually. So instead of having a... with the mod wheel, you can just... right, you can play it in manually. Okay, but it's hard because there's delay on my keyboard when I stream. So doing percussion is, but yeah, like that, you could see, like how Valor says, it's like going to war. Anyway, you get the gist. But yeah, that's the taiko font. I just love this shit. Right, the ambient beasts. So that's clever. Nice. Now, yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So, we're getting raided by, oh, who we got? Muso Scientific, thank you for the raid of 16. I appreciate that. Scott Raid. Anyway, so as you can hear, what this one's doing is it's repeating 3 times without a loop, right? So it goes 1, 2, 3. But because it's up, it ramps up. So dun, dun, dun. Right? But what they've also done is put delay on it. Right? Which is very clever. Let's change it to 8s. But by setting the delay, what it's doing is it's creating like this whole you know, like ambient rhythmic bed. So again, it's applied to everything. I don't think you can do effects per key. That would be cool, but I feel like that's a lot of processing power. So even the scrapes have delay on them, which is fine. So I'm not actually holding anything. That key's just going by itself now. But the ambience has the delay and stuff on it as well. You don't hear it as much when it's a sustained sound. So I can keep this going, you know, with just... So we can probably pull this back a little bit. Is there reverb? Yeah. So the reverb's here. Again, the mix dials are up here, so we can actually pull that down. But you see, because the drum's so close, we can actually put it at the back of the room if we want. Or over here. Or we can have it up close like that. And again, another cool thing, like we've done it multiple times, but let's just swap it out for a taiko. There we go, now that sound is a taiko. We put it at the back of the room. And again, I keep saying and again because I have to keep repeating things. Listen to how different the sound is just by moving it around the stage. So as you can see, there's no extra reverb. Well, okay, there is reverb on, but... Right? But let's move it to the back of the stage. See, the reverb's off. Put it back here. And it doesn't sound like reverb. Like, okay, that's a really dumb thing to say, but it doesn't sound like normal reverb. It doesn't sound like a drum that you've put reverb on. It sounds like a drum in a room, which is very rare. So I'm convinced that this like almost can't be reverb. I mean, it is, but it can't be. It sounds like the mic positions, you know, like we're going between the mic positions. Love that so much. So we can come into the master effects. Let's say we don't like the saturation. So we can change, let's change it to, and then we'll change the delay also to, do we have dotted notes or just triplets? I mean, that was the ambient beast. Let's move on. The ambient beast. So the damage hits. I mean, we all know what these are, don't we? They're always so punchy and clean as well. As someone who makes similar sounds to this, I always die a little inside when I listen to Heavyocity's ones. It's got some tail in it. Ooh. That sounded so cool. Right, an old school hybrid cue. Yeah, we will in a minute. The Tom Barrage. It's like rototoms. It goes from side to side. So if you're doing like a tom fill. I mean, oh, that's 9 time. Good old damage. Good old damage. Like they just sound good. Like the dynamics are right. I'm trying to go fast. Fucking love that. That's the thing. Like there's hardly anything in here where I go, I wouldn't use that, other than maybe like the really extreme stuff. And the thing with the really extreme stuff is I may not use it now, but I've definitely used that kind of thing before. So even the stuff that isn't hitting me right away, you know what I mean? I know I'm probably going to use. Wait, a 70-inch Grand Casa? Jesus. Da 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 da. Oh wow, who has the Hans meme? The Hans, what's it called? The emoji. Right. Traditional nod. So this is just like the traditional type drum setup. You reckon that was good enough to get a copyright strike? I don't think so. Trailer made. Here we go.
In a world where human civilization is under threat, one man, one desire. The stream coming soon. Three friends alone on an island. What could go wrong?
So that's just like, that was the all-star presets. There are, as you can see, there's monster low. So they've broken out all the individual parts as performances. So I showed you performances earlier, but I will do it one more time. So let's say that we have like the solo toms low, right? So what they've done is they've spread it so that each octave, as you can see here, the first two are just plain hits, and then flams, rolls, crescendos. So basically everything that you get in the performance has been applied to just the drum. So if it's almost like having an individual patch for everything. Dun-duns. Pablo Francisco, yeah.
In a world, one man, one desire. Little tortilla boy.
Right, that's what it was.
Little tortilla boy.
Are there any Scottish war drums? Nothing labeled as Scottish war drums. There might be, though. So these are good usually like just to hit on top of another drum. So you know, bang, and then just hit, and it adds, because it's like there's not much bass in that. It's mostly just high energy, but it sounds big, so it adds that bigness on top of a drum that has low on it. I mean, I could just show you that. Let's find a. Just, I don't know, bass blast. So if I play them together, that's it by itself, but together it just adds that extra boom. I like this actually. Am I running Cubase 6.3? I don't think so. 6.2.2 or something like that. It could be 0.3. I haven't checked for a long time. So cymbal, found sounds. So a lot of these we already had in the all-star patches, but I'll just have a quick look through. So let's have a look through some kicks. So this is, I like, you can, if you want to, change between the mix of the room. Hang on, let's put up. So you can actually change the space of the stage. I don't want to make it too loud, but yeah. Crush didn't do anything, and I don't want to risk breaking it. So kicks. Wait, there's two. There's two kick menus. Tyke bass break face. I wonder what this one sounds like with a. Man, I just love having things being able to repeat. I just love the simplicity of it all. Right, so they're the damage kicks. So we pretty much transitions. Oh, we didn't look at the hybrid reverses yet. Hang on. They're what you'd expect, though. That's what it sounds like when someone is like in a movie, when someone travels back into the past, but they're like, imagine they're in like a smoke cloud that's trying to drag them back to the real world, but they're like in a cloud of magic looking back. That's the kind of sound you would get. We gotta go back. I can't. I gotta see what happens. You know? That's how that works, usually. Right, so let's move on to the kit designer. So the kit designer so far is the one that's left me the most bewildered. Like, I'm not quite sure what its purpose is over using the ensemble designer. So I feel like it's just for one shots, perhaps. So you can change where in the sound it starts. You know, should you so desire. Also, for some reason, this UI is one of the ones that make it lag. So the best way to see when this is happening for me is if you look down here at the volume level, you see how it like quantizes that. Whereas the ensemble designer, as far as I'm aware, was not doing that. Let me just double check that. Right, so let me just do this. See, a little bit actually, but not as much. Right, no glitchiness. And I'm not sure why it does this with some and not others, right? But now if we put it back to the kit designer, this is probably a contact problem more than it is a Heavyocity problem, because I have this with a few, and so do a few other people. But like if we watch that, so you saw there was no lag, but now look at that. You see how it quantizes? It's like, which unfortunately makes it really hard to use the UI. So look, you see, look, that didn't register my click. And when I try and click, there's like a lag. I mean, I'm doing it drastically, but can you see how long it takes from when I move the mouse to when it moves? So it's hard to nail, like get things perfectly, even on these, you see? There's like a UI lag. So this one feels more like you have something per instrument, right? So let's pull this. Yeah, so this one is per note effects. So we can add EQ, we can change the overdrive, we can change the transient. So transient design is obviously for that clickiness. or getting rid of it. And then, of course, a compressor is you know what a compressor does, I hope. Let's do a fast release. But same vibe. So we can, let's put this on the low drum. Right, let's come back to our settings. Let's bring up the LFE on this one. Didn't really do much, did it? So this one just feels more like making, like if you want to have per instrument effects, although I wish that it had per instrument delay. Because delay is just one of those things where, you know, it needs to be, like, you don't want to put it on everything. But again, a good way if you're wanting to make like a little drum machine here, that's something you can do. It's cool having the note names out there as well. But again, I feel like if you have the ensemble designer, like I probably won't use this one much personally. I imagine it's got uses beyond what I'm seeing, but like one of the things I always try and do in these videos, and I hope you guys appreciate it, is I'm a working composer. You guys know this, and so I'm aware that most of the time, a lot of you guys will do what I do is you buy a sample library and you just open it and try and use it and you try and run through the library, or you just immediately try and use it in a project. And so what I like to show when we do these videos, when we do the Avin looks and stuff, I like to show how it feels to use from when you just open it. Now, I did use this already a little bit. So like if I never use it, I call it a first look. If I've had a look at it, I call it Avin a look. So it's like a first look, but you know, I already know a thing or two about it. But one of the things I think is important to show, particularly when you're doing streams, because you know, most people are going to do the conventional walkthrough. This is what this does. This is what this does. Whereas I like to see where I can't figure things out. Like if something isn't immediately obvious to me, I put that as a negative. Like in this day and age, there's so many libraries, there's so many UIs that have been designed so well that you know you just know what to do by looking at it. So just there shouldn't be an excuse these days of read the manual unless it's something super complex that no one's ever done before, you know? In which case, fine. But in most situations, when it comes to most sample libraries, not the case. Okay. So this one is... So here on the left, we have stutter. We can actually do triplet stutter as well. So you just hold the key down. It's like the old school effects plugins, you know, like Stutter Edit or whatever. Personally, probably won't use it much. What it looks like it does, it goes to the last transient. So you can play it out of time. So look, I'll try and deliberately play out of time, which is harder to do than you think. But it comes back to the beat. Let's try that. Yeah, so even if I stutter it out of time, it by the next slice comes back in time. So let's try it. Out of time. Back in time. And if you did it in time, it would be even better. Right, so we did look at this a little bit already, but let's just quickly go through some more of the sounds. So let's go with some straight all-star loops. Let's go epic organic. Something worth pointing out, by the way, when you listen to loops, don't listen to how can I use this loop by itself, like, because that's what a lot of either the people who don't have time or the people who don't know better, and I don't mean that as a negative, they're the kinds of people that are just going to, Mom, I'm a composer, like, and then, be done with it, which is fine. You can do that. That's why these loops are provided. However, as I mentioned earlier, within a year or two, all of the people who use loops in this way will have used these loops in this way, which means they will be noticeable. They'll be everywhere. So what you want to do is when you're auditioning the sound, find the bits which sound generic enough that you can use them, right? So like that, for example, it is like subtle stuff like that will often serve you better, and then you program a rhythm around it, because then the rhythm is exactly how you want it to be, rather than you are, well, that's not exactly what I want, but, and then dealing with the loop and then building around the loop. Because the thing is everybody else who has this library can do that as well. Whereas if you just, like, that is generic enough that you can build around it, and then it's custom to you. But I often think of loops as metronomes, as like more colorful metronomes. Like that is more fun to play a rhythm around than beep bop 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 beep dub dub dub, right? Whereas that, like you can feel more of a rhythm. Or whatever. And so, and again, there's nothing wrong with using the actual loops. And the thing is it's more compositional intent. It's like, I never, ever consider loops or phrase libraries or anything like that cheating unless you're relying on it for compositional intent, right? So as composers, it is our job to create music, right? And if you're doing that and then building the song around that loop, the compositional intent is being determined by Heavyocity, right? They're the ones who design those loops, and so they're the ones that are determining what your song is going to be. What I'm saying is you can use loops, you can use phrase libraries, anything you want, so long as the compositional intent is coming from you. If that loop is doing what your song was going to do anyway, then just use the better produced version than programming it yourself. However, if that's not what it was going to do, and like the song's intent gets drawn away by that, that's more moving into the, you're not really writing this, you're arranging it. So that's what, like, when you write with loops, try to make sure that the loop is a part of your song, not your song is part of the, like, your song is built around these loops, right? The same with any loop library, even the ones I make, or like the, what are they called? The sonokinetic, phrase libraries and stuff. Like a lot of people won't buy them because they say they're cheating because they're library, or action strings, or the new Spitfire things where it's repeated lines. And I remember when action strings came out, everybody said, oh, but that's just cheating. And it's like the only thing action strings stopped me doing was having to program every 16th note. It's like I could just hold it, but because I can change the rhythm live, I'm creating a rhythm using their tools as opposed to just like if I did that and put a bass line under it, it would probably get licensed, but I didn't really write it. You know what I mean? And I feel like there is that like people can tell when you've done it yourself and when you haven't. And it depends if respect it matters to you. Because like if respect doesn't matter and just money is, sure, there's money to be made from just. But when you know a client hears your work, right? A client hears your work and they're like, I really loved what you did on that trailer music. Can you do that but something completely different? You no longer have the skills because your compositional intent is being driven by the loops. If they're like, yeah, I don't like that rhythm. Do me a like similar thing but different rhythm. You now lack the skills and the craft in order to do a custom bespoke version, which is more what you're going to do when you get clients. So it depends what you're doing. I mean, again, you can get away and make money just doing that shit. But at the same time, when it comes to doing it for someone else and they don't want you to use loops, you're fucked. So you might as well just learn to use loops correctly. And by correctly, I mean use them in a way in which they're not leading you, you're using them. Okay? That's all I'll say. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with that, but that's how I feel about it. So, and I tend to lean usually towards like these epic organic ones, right? That's just eighth notes with an accent. Right? That isn't going to lead a song, right? That isn't going to lead a song, but I could definitely use that to add that feeling to the track. And if that's the feeling I wanted already, like if my compositional intent had decided I need something that kind of drives it, but kind of shuffles the, kind of shuffles the high end a little bit so we get that tone of da-da-da-da-da-da. Like I can get that with that. And it's not changing what I was intending to do with the music. I've said that about 5 different ways now, and I hope that settles, and I hope that settles in for some of you. Again, you can disagree, and you can absolutely use loops just as they are. Nothing to stop you doing that. It's just when it comes down the line, you want to be prepared and ready. And again, it's better practice. Also, something else worth listening. No, that was a sentence. Something else worth mentioning is if you are new to music, you can use this the same way that I use the things like sonokinetics, capriccio and grosso and all those things. I use them to teach me techniques that I might not have otherwise known. So I didn't go to like a prestigious music school or anything. I went to, I learned to be a singer. So I didn't learn anything about orchestral composing or anything like that at a school. I learned it all myself. And it's funny, things like these tools, because they have the score or just even the shape, they show you techniques and you're like, oh, that's what they're doing in like John Williams, like when he does a string run. And then you're not stealing the string run from John Williams, but you're reminded of, oh, I can do that. And I had the exact same thing when I went through sonokinetics libraries, and the same with these. It's like, oh, I can do rhythms like that. Oh, I could do something. And then I'm not using their loop. I'm taking the concept that they designed in and baked into it, but then making my own version of it. So if you are new to composing, which a lot of people are, particularly with things like this, is look at the loops and learn from them. So that's da, 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 da. And so I could be like, oh, that's a cool kind of rhythm. Or, And so just hearing that high bit go da 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 da, you could be like, oh, that's a cool idea. So like high sounds do things like this, and mid instruments do things like this. Okay, that's a badass loop. I'm keeping that one, but yeah. And you kind of you understand just by looking at how they've made their loops, how they've broken them up, what low instrument drums are doing, what the mid instrument drums are doing, and what the high instrument drums are doing. You actually get a better understanding of how they work together. So when you come to write your own rhythm passages, not just in percussion, but across strings, brass, whatever it is, you understand how the low, mid, high relationship with rhythm works because you can see it in the loops and they're broken out. So you don't even have to do much. Oh. So just seeing how those three loops that I played there interact with each other, it can give you ideas of your own. So when you're using the individual round robin versions, you can create your own with very, very little thought process, because this is what you're filling your subconscious with. And again, it's something worth doing with the Sonokinetic ones if you're new to orchestral, or the Hollywood winds, or looking at how runs go together. And that's why I always say that the subconscious is the most powerful tool you have as a composer. And that's why I say you should listen to as much music as possible. I mean, like, a lot of people will give you shit. It's like, oh, you just ripped off so-and-so. And it's like, no, I didn't rip them off. They just reminded me that a certain technique exists. So like, I often, like, if I'm doing orchestral or epic, I'll listen to like Ivan Torrent. I'll listen to Thomas Bergerson. I'll listen to like Joe Blackenberg or whatever. Like, I listen to them because they do techniques which are like, oh, fuck yeah, I forgot that you can totally do that with a cello, or I forgot you can totally do that with a brass instrument. And then it gives you ideas on how you can do them for yourself. Obviously, don't go steal the notes that they're doing or the context, but like, you can go and listen to all these techniques. And that's why I say listen to as much music as you can, because just by listening, you're absorbing the techniques and you're like, oh, that was cool. And your subconscious locks it away. And then you go to write one time and then it pops up. You're like, oh, what about that thing we heard in that, like, the Weeknd song, the Blinding Lights song? They had that high thing. Why don't you do something along those lines? And it's just, they're what make it possible for you to write music very quickly and succinctly, because your subconscious is aware of all these techniques that it can use. And things like the damage loop, this was a really long way around it, but the thing with damage loops, and the thing I've always used it, is I've looked at it and like, oh shit, I should do some more rhythms like this, where I'm distorting that type of instrument, but over the top I'm layering something clean. And it's just, you're just listening for inspiration and advice, like from professional designers. Like, I often listen to Matt Bowdler, who's called The Unfinished. I listen to his synth patches, and sometimes I don't even use the synth patches he made, because everybody has access to them. But I look at how he built it, I'm like, fuck yeah, that's a really good idea. And then I learn the technique, I learn the concept so that I can do it for myself. That's something I genuinely recommend that every composer do as just practice. Just look at how things have been constructed and figure out how it's made, because the how it's made is going to be more important to you when it comes to working for clients who want bespoke music than it will be just having the loops that everybody has access to. What's the phrase? Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Exactly the same thing, but with musical techniques. If you take the techniques, you're absolutely, like, yeah, using damage loops, that's just eating a fish. Learning how they're put together so you can do it with the individual hits, that's learning to fish. So anyway, back to the fucking loops. Sorry, that was so long. Oh, industrial. Where was... Like, for example, that loop is fucking incredible. And my brain is already working like a million miles an hour thinking, oh shit, I could do something very similar to this that isn't a ripoff of this, but has a similar vibe. Bum, 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 bum. And yeah. Yeah, I get excited about stuff like this. And again, it's... humans are pretty much incapable sorry that damage is making me be all philosophical. But it's, man, it just gets me excited. I'm trying not to get too philosophical. I'm trying to focus on the library. Yeah, because, okay, humans are incapable, right? Incapable of completely original thought. We can't do it. We can't think something that doesn't exist, that we don't have something in order to get us there, right? You need something in order to, like, you can't go from caveman hitting a stone as a percussive instrument all the way to a full Ludwig, like drum kit, like you can't jump. You need the steps in between, right? And so original thought has to be contextualized, right? So we have to have heard something before that pushes us in that direction. Now, this loop, there are many rhythms in the world that could have led me to this loop, right? But obviously there's so many options that my brain has never been to the point where it goes boom, do ga boom, do ga boom. But now my brain has heard that. I now have so many different contexts where this would work and would work better than things I've thought of before. And this rhythm now exists forever in my head because, whoa, I've heard it in context. And so, so original thought, impossible. Contextual thought is how we create things. So original thought is having something that exists and then twisting it and taking it to a new place. That's what we consider original thought. It's like, so when someone designs a song, they're using the music structure, the 12-tone system we have here in the West. They're using drum rhythms that already exist. They're using chord progressions that already exist. And what they're doing is it's the mixture of how they change those things, which is the original idea. But the idea itself isn't original. Like, it's not completely new. And so derivative thought is how we create things. However, sometimes, I could have been led to this loop via other means, but I just haven't yet. But now I've heard that loop, it now exists in my mind, and it will be there forever, and it will determine man. But yeah, so that's the other thing is going through and auditioning these sounds. It'll give you ideas. Like, so if you're looking for inspiration, just going through some of these things is going to give you all the inspiration. Let's go up to 120. It was pretty 9 Inch Nails. Well, yeah, that was the industrial. Yeah, that was the industrial sound. Right, we already did the Manhattan one. Modern Mystery. So again, looking at this loop, nothing, and then. So now your brain should be going, oh, okay, so I could do that in my own thing. So when you're looking at the MIDI roll, you're like, because a lot of people are like, they come from like, rock background. So they'll be like, okay, so then, like they're used to writing rhythms in these kinds of ways, But you look at this and you're like, oh, so what I could do is just add like that in the middle and have it do that. And it will be interesting, right? It's a cool thing to learn. Right, let's just put some. Okay. There we go. And now you see, like, even something like that is almost generic enough to use just as the bed for percussion, and then add your accents with something big, like, you know, then add the ensemble designer and play over that, you know? You know what I mean? And so it's just kind of that's how I would use loops, because it doesn't change what I want to do with it. And it does, you know, and it's not pushing me in a certain direction necessarily. If it gets a little bit too involved, like my music is being determined by the loop, I will tend to try and use the loop less, or at least try and recreate what the loop's giving me, but with my own vibe. Again, these are things that, like, you don't have to do, but they're worth doing, because when you get to being an actual composer for clients, and, you know, which I imagine most people watching this want to be, you're going to have to figure out how to do it sometime, because they will ask for you to do bespoke things that don't exist. Love that. Right, let's, where are we? Ready for War. This one's for Hal Valor. That one sounds like it's phasing. This, for example, that is a great loop to just play over. That one's a bit too groovy for me. Suspenseful filtered pulses. This I probably wouldn't use. Like, they're going for a sound, just not my kind of sound. Now I feel like this, yeah. There's like a little knob in this. So let's see how this works. So how do we adjust the range of this? Oh, there we go. Now, how do we apply that to these, though? Like, how do we change what the mod is changing? How do we connect them? These are the questions. Is it me, or do these look like middle fingers? That's Heavyocity telling me to fuck off. Render 4 bars and load into... I could totally do that. The nightmare turns it down so much. turns it down. But anyway, I think for now, that is probably going to do it. I mean, unless you guys want me to keep going through the sounds, I think we've pretty much covered the majority of it. Oh wait, we got a few more loops actually. Let's do a few more loops. I can't pick up the phone now. I'm in the middle of a stream. Oh, these are cool. So these are like the utility ones. These are the ones that I was talking about, the ones that will just kind of fit in anything, right? So let's take a look at this. Fuck me. Man, these are fucking incredible. Fuck. Helps if you play them together. So let's check out some of these. Man, I'm going to use the fuck out of these, though. And then let's try out some of these damaged ones. Fuck yeah. You know what I mean? They're just accenting the downbeats. That'll make so many tracks. I mean, it just makes it easier for you to make your already, like if you've programmed a rhythm and then you put that over it, all it's going to do is accent your beats, but give it a bit more character. But anyway, on that note, I'm going to end this Avin a look at Heavyocity's Damage 2. So thoughts, fucking love this thing. The sounds are both cleaner, punchier, and they're just bigger. Like there's something about the stage that allows you to really fill the room. Like it's a big sound, and it doesn't sound like reverb on drums. It sounds like you're literally moving the drum in the room. Not sure how they manage that. Being able to swap out the sounds to create your own custom keyboard layout, that's going to be incredible. I mean, there's just so much you could do. All the damage sounds, all the transitions, all the extra effects like the swooshes, the metallic cymbals. It's just got everything you need for that kind of percussion. It was always going to be tough. We always knew Damage was going to be like Damage was the industry standard to a degree. It still is, but it was always going to be hard to create a sequel. And I genuinely thought they would struggle. This thing literally blew me away. Like it's so good. You owe it to yourself if you do any form of composition that uses big drums, get this. Like it is going to be another industry standard. The usual ones sound great. Like the typical sounds sound great. I mean, oh God, everybody's calling me today. The typical sound great. The sound designed ones sound great. The hybrid ones sound great, and they all sound great together. The loops, there's plenty of loops that are there so that you can learn. It's just got everything. If I don't know how to sell it to you guys better. This thing is fucking incredible. I mean, you've heard it for yourself. You've seen the walkthroughs. You've been here. And like, all I can say is that you need to get it. It is a must have. There's very few libraries that are must haves. This is definitely going to be one of them. But hey, that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? That is all up to you. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is where the video is going to end today. And I will see you guys. Remember to subscribe, bell, all that stuff. If you want to follow me on Twitter or, at H2Daniel, make sure to follow me there. I always post when I'm going live. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to go to twitch.tv/hybrid2 in order to see my other channels. And sorry, someone's trying to call me at the same time as me doing my outro. Happens every time. But yeah, so if you're watching this on YouTube, I will see you guys in the next one. But yeah. Well, wait, no, that's how we usually say it, innit? If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll see you in the next one.